Good morning. It is week 63 of Visibility University. Ask us anything. We're live now, so we'll just wait for our viewers or comments to start rolling in. It's Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. We do this every single week. It's Mike and Julianne Duffy checking in from IamYouTubeFamous.com, where we help you build your own. We help you get your YouTube started, get it built out, fix it, and help you become more visible. But the only way we can do that is by helping you get started or updating your YouTube, updating your content, and that's what this Saturday morning class is here for, is to answer whatever questions you have for us. And that's the only way we can move forward, is showing you that we're live streaming multiple times per week across all of our social media channels, and of course holding space for the community every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and helping you along with your content creation journey, answering technical issues that you might have, content, all that fun stuff. So anyway, do you have anything to add, Julie?
Your name is Julianne on this.
I know, because I was on time, and my name's
so if you were on time, you could have changed your name.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter what my name is. Matters.
It does know what your name is there. Now it's updated. So now you have
so you know how to change name.
Yeah, you don't know how to do it, do you?
I know how to do I fix everybody else's problems.
So then you don't fix your own problems?
Exactly. Mine are last because I have to help everybody else fix theirs. Like telling them they should start YouTube yesterday, and if they haven't started it, start it today. That was the point.
You know, it's interesting because I really want to bring up a few things that we've had and a few situations we've dealt with in the last week and a bit. So we've had a few people, like we had one person where their YouTube account promises that they make new content every week. And they haven't posted in forever, but then they were like, yeah, I posted today. And it's like, well, that's great, but you're promising that everybody that comes to your channel is getting new content every week and you haven't made it for months. So making it now, well, great. Are you going to be able to commit now, or should you changing on your YouTube that it's like making it realistic, because people that are following you now,
it can be updated. You know, if you put messaging out, you can always update it and change it to reflect what is going on in your journey this week, because the only people who would know that you promised weekly videos are your current subscribers, right?
Exactly.
And they like to know, they like to be part of the community. That's the whole point of them putting energy into subscribing and expecting new content. It's all in relation to you want your subscribers to watch your videos and comment and like on them. So it's like this two-way communication street. Maybe that's what people are missing when they're thinking about content creation, because it's always, I know when I talk to people, it's like, oh, I need to put a post out. We got to do promotion. I need to. And it's like, well, it just sounds like you need to, but are you actually putting the energy into, we want this to be a two-way street. We want you to put content out, and we want people who know you to respond to it. So it's not, I need to, it's like, I have people I want to communicate with.
Well, it's changing that focus, but I want to say hello to Michael Hambridge. He said hi multiple times. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. And this is open, so drop your messages in the comment, or if you have any questions you want to ask us, drop them in the comment, and we will, because we are live for this Saturday morning. It is 8:05 a.m. Central, 9:05 Eastern. We are live here to answer those questions and have the discussions about how you can be visible, especially during this time, because right now is for the next 19 months, I believe. I believe that's 19 months. We're under this like Leo energy, and we're already in Leo, so we're kind of already in the Leo. But then we've got this Leo. I believe it's Venus. I could be wrong. I might have mixed that up a little bit, but we're having this Leo energy that's with us for the next year, and it wants visibility, 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 courage, being seen. And if you have something to offer, where you need to be seen, like it's already like that's the energy of this time. That is where you got to be visible. If you have something to offer, you have to be visible. And I'm going to say shout out, hello to Ella Bent Sun. I'm not sure. And then you got a whole bunch of things. So hello. Oh, what's my favorite animal? Well, actually, I'm going to say off topic because we're not talking about visibility, but my favorite animal is I love dogs. I actually have 2 dogs sleeping on top of me as we're going live right now. So
They're
yes,
definitely not a wake up call this morning though.
no, they I think we bothered them waking them up this morning because they're both
Like you dudes know we do this every single Saturday, so you should be waking us up. But nah, opposite.
well, we might have trained our dogs to be as lazy. They're not morning dogs. They're not up at like 6 a.m. going off. They're like, Mom, we don't go for a walk till 10 or 11. And we also have another person in the chat. We'll reach out to that. IOCPMJ. I don't really follow a lot of sports. I think it's a lot of it is a distraction. I enjoy watching a game, but I don't have a favorite team.
No, best time to watch is playoffs anyway.
Exactly.
That's when all the real action happens, and then you can decide whether or not everything's rigged. Is when it's the playoffs.
It's just the WWF.
No. You know what? I've seen so many like fan reactions to like FIFA. They're like, "This is how it's rigged." They're like, "You're still watching it and claiming that." So it's whatever.
I feel like when because when we were that they had scripts, right? Followed scripts where people are coming out with that in sports saying that they have scripts and they were written to have an injury during certain games. It's how much can we even say isn't scripted in our lives?
Well, you know what? That's funny to say. It's just how could WWE, WWF, like all that type of stuff not be, because that's a lot of things happening on a televised TV screen at the same time, especially when they, anyway, it's just how would they not have scripts?
Because they want a certain outcome, right? So
that's a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of flamboyant characters, and if people aren't naturally like that, they need something to be like, oh, hey, this is what I'm wearing, this is my entrance music, and this is what I'm going to do when I get down to the ring. And then all the behind the scenes, like the B-roll stuff, right, where they're like being interviewed.
Yeah. Okay, well, the point is it is another form of visibility. Whether you have a script or not a script, they were being visible, right? So they were showing up all everywhere, and they really had their the fact that I don't even know what they're called anymore. Clearly, they're not as visible as they were in the 1990s and early 2000s, right? So it's all changed and adapted, just like everything we've done. So I guess when we're coming to this point is everything's about adapting, and whether you've been in business for 20 years, 5 months, we are adapting. And part of that adaptation, especially during this period, is to be visible. How else can you find the people that you can offer your service to? Your product to, whatever knowledge you have to be visible. And that doesn't mean you have to be only on YouTube, because we definitely do not suggest that you're only in one place. Right now, we are simulcasting. We actually are simulcasting to 3 different YouTube channels and to Facebook, as well as, I think, let me just see here where else we are doing it. and to
No.
Instagram, and you're doing Instagram as well. And so often we're simulcasting on multiple platforms. So this gets to be in as many places because you don't know where people are going to watch you from. And this the louder and more regular your signal is, the more likely people that appreciate what you're talking about or what you offer can find you. But if your signal isn't there, you might have the best product, the best service, be like top notch, but if nobody knows about you, this other subpar company that everybody knows wins.
Best known beats best.
It does, exactly. And this is the time to be visible. Well, another story, because we'd love to have your questions about this, but we have another situation. And we talk, if you've been following us, you might be like, okay, these people are everywhere. They talk about visibility, then they're about astrology and numerology, then they're talking about life things and how it works with the energies. But these all actually are like the same conversations because they're all related. And I want to give an example of why visibility and like timing, energetics, whether it's, the astrology, numerology, with being visible actually makes a difference. So knowing how a month goes, knowing how the energies are going to flow will help you a lot, because there are times in reality where energies don't, for certain things in your own life, may not flow super easy. So you might have a time where your visibility isn't going to be seen as much because you're in a specific alignment, or the life around you is in a specific alignment. So it's just a very quiet time. Then you can have times where it's very supported to be like right now, to be visible and be out there. And that's a time to grab the reins and go forward when the energies open that are more aligned. Doesn't mean you're not going to be successful when energies are maybe a little bit harder to work through to be visible. However, when the energies open to flow, it's much easier to manifest, create, work with energies when they're supportive. So the reason I bring this up is we know somebody. They announced that they were going to do this event, and they announced it a number of months ago. Okay. But what they did is in July, just before the Mercury retrograde. Okay. So when you're talking about energies, when Mercury retrograde comes, things slow down, communications get harder, things get, it's not that you may not, it may not guarantee that there's not going to be success. Like, you could still be successful. There's just going to be a little more difficulty getting things completed because you're in a Mercury retrograde, or communications get confused, or it's just not clear, right? So this person opens up their website, so got their website to sign up for this event literally just a couple days before the Mercury retrograde. And the farther you go down with the energies, you understand that before periods and after periods, you still have that lingering energy. So they were in the retrograde energy. So they go trying to push an event before we go into a retrograde. Then they're in a retrograde for about 3, almost 4 weeks. And then as soon as the retrograde's over, they're like, well, I've had no success with this event, so now I'm going to cancel it. And they're now, just as of like the 6th, so on Thursday, we are out of the post retrograde. Now it's energies flowing, and specifically today on the Lions Gate, August 8th, the energy is flowing and is a fantastic day to be visible. So our advice was, well, you didn't see this perspective. You introduced your sign up literally just before a retrograde, which is going to make it more difficult because you did it right before the energies slow down and communication's difficult. And now that we're just getting out of it, you just dumped it. So what we're really trying to teach is not only about being consistent, being visible, using tools to help you get seen everywhere. It's also using life timing, like astrological numerology timing, to assist you. So if they would have been planning and listening to what we said, okay, releasing and opening your website before retrograde, not bad, but you should have like expectations should be here, because you're doing it when the energies aren't going to feel
those expectations.
lowered expectations, right? And then when you get out of that retrograde, well, now, okay, we're in visibility. Now let's double down and really push, because now the time is supportive of that. And that would be the best way to use the time and the energies. And I know anybody that comes back is like, well, I don't believe in astrology. Well, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not, it's real. The planets and the alignments exist. It's all math. These things do affect us. And if you do reflect on your own day, if you listen to somebody who is talking about what the energies have for a day, and then you reflect on those days, you will see that often they will very much, almost all the time, match. Now, of course, your own personal alignments can affect it, right? So you might have a day that's visible, but if you're not in the best charts and your charts are like, no, you're not going to be visible, that can add an extra level of difficulty. And what we want to do is we want to get at that. So much of our limitations is in our own mind. That is the reality. We are limited by our own perspective. So when energies flow, our minds will also flow better, right? So if you have been trying to push something in a retrograde, nothing's working, you're like, oh man, I suck, this is a horrible event. None of that might be true at all. You're just pushing during a time that you needed to step back and not be pushing, because the energy wasn't gonna, you're not gonna be able to push against that energy. You have to almost wait for that energy to change and then walk into it. So that is what we also talk about with our strategic timing guide. We have our strategic timing guide, which now when you join us and you become a gold member, you're going to get it each month. And we talk about the days and which days are more aligned than others for the month. So with August, it talked about how the 6th and the 7th were really great days. Today's the 8th. Then it goes in and it's giving you advice on what the best action is. So Biddy, I know we can hear some dogs outside. So what the best actions are. Are you done, Biddy? He might.
got more. As soon as we had dog barking, we got more viewers anyway, so that's okay. No, you know what? You know what? You were talking about the energy shifting, and then it's like, oh, what? How? Like, I'm not gonna bring it up because, but what did I tell you? Finally broke this week, and it's like, oh my. I wonder if that's due to the timing and things being out of retrograde now and something like, anyway. It takes time, it takes energy to build your visibility, to get your YouTube going, to get all your other social medias going, and to make content that is engaging to your ideal, to your audience or your multiple audience across these multiple social medias. So timing super important, because I know when you get into the groove of recording regularly and your shorts, your longs, just whatever content you're building for your channels, you got to be motivated to make that content and stream it and put it up. And we need your astrology working for you at the same time. If not, your launch pad to getting in a routine and getting started and seeing success with it could be a while.
Well, it still might be a while depending on your astrology.
I know, but
in fairness, I've had so many Saturn retrogrades. It's all been refinement. And if you have been following me over the last 5 years, you will have seen massive change in the type of content and the quality. Not saying I make perfect content and perfect quality, but definitely an improvement in how I've made content, how I'm creating, etc. Right? So there is that improvement, but also having that realistic expectation that, okay, if we know the energies are aligned, like we were going, like, let me bring up an image here. Let me go and see if I can find the image of like how it shows up on our strategic timing guide, because it can give you this idea like, okay, these days are really good for refining, getting your videos ready to post, doing titles, doing little back end stuff. These days are way better for recording. These days, the energies are going to flow. Like there's actually the 11th, which I was talking to you about, is a really good day to batch record things. So if you want to make a bunch of videos and work with somebody and do a bunch of videos, like I know you're working on a season 2 with your co-host, the 11th is going to be much more conducive to do multiple videos. Now, can you do it over the rest of the month? For sure. You can still get these things done. However, However, when alignment works and timings like this is
How
supported,
smooth is it?
it's a whole lot easier to get things done than trying to fight. It's like fighting a storm, right? The storm's coming, but you're going the opposite way. So you're going right into the storm. It's harder to win against the storm. Doesn't mean you won't, but you're fighting through that storm, trying to get forward. Whereas if you knew the storm was coming, you might have already progressed, hunkered down, wait for that storm to pass, and then continue going forward, right? Versus getting stuck in it. And I don't know how else to really to explain it, because people get really hung up on the weirdness of it, because I think it's because in our cult, we live in a cult, our culture has very much demonized being aware of this type of knowledge. So knowing what the alignment is, knowing what the energies are, what is supported, it's like, oh, that's woo woo. Oh, that's nothing. It doesn't affect you, but it does. It greatly affects every single one of us. And knowing how to use it really does help you, so you don't sit there going like this person, oh, this is just the wrong event. It's a wrong idea. Everything is wrong. I suck. It's time to cancel it, right? Well, maybe that's not actually the case. Maybe it's all just timing. You didn't, the timing of opening up that website is not a good timing. The timing to end now, like this is like premature, because this is now the time to be visible. This should be the time you're doubling down. So I feel like you're getting duped by the energy, right? Because you're believing something that isn't necessarily true, because there is this retrograde that did reduce visibility, reduce communication, reduce and make things a little more challenging, right?
100%, because there's a lot of factors that go into content production, right? It's like, yes, if you're, you can just jump on the camera and go, and do a live. What are you talking about? If you give viewers, are you trained in keeping them engaged in the comments? Internet connection, audio quality, if you're indoors versus, like, there's all these factors that are going to pop up while you're recording, which are either going to make your job, if you're super prepared, super smooth, and if you're not, like, and if you think you're prepared and you find out you're technically not prepared, that's when weird stuff happens. It takes, like, Julie and I, we've watched stuff being filmed in Hollywood like decades ago, like and we're like, how long it takes with professionals to record like a 23-minute like a comedy? It took like
Forever,
the whole day,
hours.
And unless you're a
redoing
professional
the
getting paid
same
for it, there's no motivation to sit there all day and run lines.
No, and the worst is when you see the same, like, 20-second clip being redone 40 times, and you're like, "I feel like I've watched it," and they want you to fake laugh 40 times, right? And fair enough, like, the reality is we still have to work. They've got a schedule, they still gotta do it. I'm sure sometimes recording shows, it's not the most divine timing, it's not the most strategic timing, but because you've committed and you need it done, you're gonna have to work for it. Where then there's other times when you're like, "That was so easy. Why did it get done?" Well, that's probably because the timing was way open and flowing, and
We
that
just
was
call
a
that
good
luck.
time. We call it luck because we don't wanna it's not, often it's not luck. It's a combination of multiple factors. But one of the things I wanted to show was kind of a sample of what shows up on the strategic timing guide. This would be for August. So it goes over essentially the Western Vedic numerology. So it's going to tell you what's related to that day, what the theme is for that day, and then, of course, like the best use for it and things to watch for. So as you can see here, I'm just going to see if I can make it a little bit bigger for my end so I can read that, because I can't read it once I upload it on.
Okay, I can read it, but
you can read it. Well, why don't you read us then what, like, for example, on there, read me the 6th or the 7th, whatever dates I have here. I think it's the 6th.
August 6th, last quarter moon in Taurus and universal day 6. Theme: strategic simplification before the eclipse season opens. Use it for clearing your content queue of anything that isn't rooted in what actually worked. A background, admin and cleanup day, not a posting day. Watch for publishing something half finished just to feel productive before the new moon.
And
And
the reason this
what did I open this call with? I'm like, don't just post for posting,
exactly,
right?
exactly. And so the 6th was specifically the ending of the Mercury retrograde, post Mercury retrograde shadow, because that's when that's why the warning was, you're ready to go forward, but we're not quite ready for those to go forward. We're starting to make the steps forward because we're out of the retrograde, but it's not boots on the ground and run. It's boots on the ground, but make sure you're stable before you start taking off, right? And then the 7th was again, which would yesterday was aesthetic and relational polish. With good day to like be fine tuning thumbnails and styling and any of those type of things, right? And then to watch for overthinking designs and then doubting, right? So you're spending too much time thinking, oh, this needs to be perfect. That's not the best use. It's going to be like, when it's good, right? And then we go through the 8th and we got the 11th and we got all the dates of August and how you can kind of plan around them. Of course, life still exists, but if you can utilize certain dates to your benefit, that is what we're really trying to help you with the combination of not only helping you become committed to showing up on a regular basis, creating content so you are visible, but using timing to assist you so you don't. So doesn't mean you're going to not get frustrated, but to help hopefully limit the frustration. Because if you go, oh my gosh, why can I not get anything done today? Because let's say you plan one day and then you go and look at and they're like, oh, this is not a good day to do this, this, and this. And my own astrology isn't that great. Maybe I'm just fighting with the energies of the day, right? It may not be just you. Sometimes it might be you, but sometimes not, right?
I had a client like that yesterday, fighting, and I was like, we can do this any other day because I'm good. But if you're not feeling, because you got to do, I asked, somebody was struggling with the computer, and I was like, I think you need to unplug everything from the back of that computer. Not today, Mike. We're not doing this today. And it's like, I didn't say today. I just said after an hour of the phone support and your printer ain't working, I think you're gonna have to disconnect all the cables.
Yeah.
Or I send a technician there. There's two solutions. You choose which journey you want to go through.
Well, and okay, and you've got a perfect example being in tech, right? Where everybody, when they finally do call you, because this is the whole thing. This is one of our biggest struggles is the things we offer is always to prevent problems. However, that's not sexy. People don't care about preventing problems. It's like insurance and shit like that. Nobody cares about it until you don't have it, right? Until your computer blows up, you've been hacked, you've lost your data, then they'll pay whatever.
Your website doesn't load for years.
Yeah, and they finally just realize, right? It's not till after when there's a pain, then they come and go, well, maybe I should have done stuff, but I didn't, so now fix my pain, right? Because preventing pain is not sexy. Dealing with drama and trauma seems to be the way humans like
But
to learn.
I think that's how humans just. I don't
Well, we
operate.
live in this weird illusion that even if we know something, even if we know statistically this is probably going to happen to us, we will not do things because there's a level of not believing it's going to happen to you, right? It's like the idea that, well, I'll never get hacked. Literally, as soon as they say it, it's like somebody will hack them, right?
I got texted by somebody in San Antonio this morning, and I was like, but weren't you just hacked? Literally, you were just hacked, but I'm not allowed to come to your office, but you were just hacked. And then I'm like, is this the same person? Like, I'm like, I get your. Anyway, it was weird. Like, literally, I opened it up to like remind people this morning about this class at like 6:30 a.m. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. They're going through a season, I think. And as you said, we just came out of retrograde. This person, I feel like they've been very hard hit by it.
Well, depending on you are, some people are hit more than others with that retrograde, right? But the point would be is that often when you go to fix something, when energies are flowing, you're not fixing problems. You're usually like networking and you don't have as much business.
Well,
when things aren't flowing, that's when everybody calls you because now they need help because everything stopped working. So you've seen this in your career for 20 plus years about how when energies flow and things are working well, nobody, like there's very rare you're going to have somebody have a problem. But when things are tighter and things aren't flowing, then suddenly it feels like everybody's calling and the whole busload of people are calling asking for help because everybody's ran into that same issue, right?
They're all the
So
same sign, right?
everybody's the same side. No, we're all part of the collective, and that's the reality. And I'm gonna shout out. We have a birthday. That's quite inappropriate, but happy birthday.
Really? Do you have to post that one on the screen?
I didn't read the whole thing before I posted
Read it
it.
before you post it.
That's how you know I'm too excited that somebody made a posting. But that was not a very appropriate posting.
Everybody's slacking on Saturday. Come on. I can
All
tell because I can tell. I'll go to your page analytics on your YouTube channel and be like, "When's the last time you posted 2 weeks ago? Why there's no activity on your channel? What are you doing?"
well, what are you doing, right? And then we're coming back. Like, what is your plan? You know, we go forward. We've existed for a long time, right? So we've seen things. We've gone through life. We've been around for a while. And what's interesting is when you start to see the pattern consistently kind of happening, that the reality of the life is that there is a consistent pattern, and can we use that pattern to help us go forward, or are we just gonna like literally fight the reality? So just like presenting an event just before Mercury retrograde, and then as soon as we're out of the Mercury retrograde, ready to just scrub the event. That is the worst way to plan how to do any type of event or content or anything like that. And the reality is there's so much information available now. Now our biggest block is our own selves. Because when you don't want to believe things, even if you see the pattern that, okay, when there's a retrograde or a full moon, people are crazy, and you can feel it in your own life, and you can even see things in your own life that when there's certain alignments, things are harder than others if you pay attention. So it's like, why make things more difficult if we can really try to make things easier for us? Doesn't mean it's going to always be easy, but let's give ourselves a heads up and a little boost, right?
Precisely. So that's why strategic timing is important, and that's why having coaches. I hate using the word coach, but people like Julianne and myself and other people in our YouTube community who are actively building their content out. Like, we got here because we took training and we got ourselves to this particular spot. So when we talk to other content creators about creating their channel or reactivating their channel or optimizing it, and we're like, hey, let's design this so it fits within the visibility framework, because we've got our framework, that the technical moving pieces, the broadcast software, how to make your shorts, how to sync everything together. Those are all moving parts in our system that we've been building for years. And then there's the timing. Let's look at the calendar to say, hey, this is what posting schedule we want, and can we commit to it based on your content building schedule, because we want everything to work smoothly together. But it takes more than one person to figure that stuff out. And yes, you can always have AI make scripts and titles and descriptions and thumbnails. You still got to check that stuff. There's just all these
And it makes things a little bit easier, but it's still
a little bit.
It's still very, it's about, it is, the reality is the more people don't want to do stuff. So I find this very interesting. The more that people want the easy way, the AI solution, I don't really want to deal with it, I want something else to do with it. The worse the content is, I'm just saying, the less fine-tuned it can be, right? Because you still have to exist in this process. Like at this point, unless you want AI replacing every human, then I guess do AI content with AI making the decision on the entire process. Then there's no need for us anyways. And then I guess we're all just watching AI content, right?
Well, it depends. If you got, people are like, yeah, I got views, and I'm like, all right,
well,
it's just gonna be AI watching AI content, realistically.
Adjusting to the AI what
because
AI.
The problem is you're gonna be like, hey, I want you to train yourself on watching this content and then duplicating it. But if it's just AI watching AI generated content, like, it's just gonna, anyway. That's a side.
Well, we're gonna hit some kind of like topper of that. We are in a bubble. We've talked about this if you've been following us. There is an AI bubble that is happening, and a bubble just like the online digital bubble from the early 2000s. We're bubbling again, and that means that there's going to be even more, especially with this visibility. There is a huge push for authenticity is going to come because people won't know who to trust anymore, and people don't want and don't like the commercials. I don't think people realize that there is no humans in these commercials anymore. Like, I'm surprised when I see a commercial that looks like it has a human, not an AI generated human, right? And at some
Well,
point,
you'll notice that. Okay, that. But I've also noticed now that like sports desks or sports channels or whatever, those are all going to be AI because if you've ever noticed that it's people who've been like sports reporters, like their whole entire career are all been like laid off in the last year. And a lot of the like, I'm just like, wait a minute, they were already in front of green screens behind a desk, so you're really just replacing a human with AI avatar, and people don't really watch for the commentary; they're watching for sports. So I'm like, how much is already been flipped?
well, how much is what we like we were talking about earlier that we knew they made scripts for WWE, WWF years ago, right? At what point, like, when I feel like we're just playing scripts out that are put onto the mainstream media. There's a script, and then we observe this script, but they're all shows. Doesn't matter, even if it's news, it's a show. It is a script, right? So, what we like stepping back, if we have, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know you brought up Kristen's comments, and that goes along. I'll let you finish talking, and then we can address that. I got commentary on hers because there's stuff that happened this week. I'm like, taking way too long for certain things.
Well, and that okay, well, let's just jump to this comment, right?
Okay.
So, about the retrograde, about things not happening and then closing it on Wednesday. Well, that, you know what? Serendipitously, coincidentally, Wednesday was the day we were fully out of the Mercury retrograde. So, like, out of the window of that. So, there's that pre window and then there's that post window. And when you reflect, just like that comment, these things affect us. And if we can plan our lives a little bit better, like, obviously we can't avoid existing through times that might be more challenging. We're going to have another retrograde. We're going to go into eclipse seasons. And when we go through the eclipse, there's a lot of times in the eclipse that it's not good to really push. There's a lot of times during it before and in between the eclipses are a little bit better times. Again, if you join us on our gold membership, which we have the link in the description, it's a free membership. You get the strategic timing guide, and then you can kind of plan around it. So if there's something important, like, yeah, we show up 4 times a week. So whether the energies are supported those days or not, we're still showing up. We're showing up on Sunday nights, Monday nights, Thursday nights, and Saturday mornings. The regardless of the astrology, numerology, the energies, we're still showing up because we have committed to showing up 4 times a week. Now, that being said, is there some shows where they're easier or we feel like we get better feedback because they're more aligned? Yes. And there's some days where, like, wow, like that show, we had way more viewers, we had more of this. And then you look at the astrology, you're like, well, that was a much more open day
Or
to
phone
be visible.
calls right after the show, like just
Exactly.
activity.
And then there's other times where it's like we just made the content because we're keeping that consistency. So those that start following us are our subs, are the people that are interested in what we're doing. They can trust us that we still show up consistently. Because the reality is we have to prove to people we've never met that we're trustworthy, that they want to come and watch our content, that they want to follow us, or that they can learn from us. And things you can do as a human to help build authority in a very trustless society is being consistent. That's a very easy way to start building consistency and trust, because there's so many people like we were talking about earlier, where somebody's saying a new video every week and they haven't posted for years, right? Then you're not being what your message is and your actions don't match.
I guess what?
So
Yeah. if I see that, I'm gonna call you out on it because I did this particularly with this person because they were literally saying, "Hey, go watch this video," and I'm like, "Hey, I'm your subscriber and I watch your videos and this is misleading and I like you and I want to help you, but this is misleading," you know. Or like the reason I want to bring up Kristen's comment was that I don't think people like, I know your business and you know your deals come in, and the longer you're in that particular business providing that particular service, not all deals are going to be the same. Some are going to be super easy and some are going to be like so drawn out, you're like, how does it even take that long?
And
We've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of that this week. Endings to things that have been going on for people for years. Like, I'm having conversations in August this year that I had in July, August, September last year. And people are like coming back to say, "Hey, it broke." And I'm like, "Well, I told you it was going to break. And you could have prepared for this thing that you didn't want to deal with. You couldn't find a way. I gave you an option to move forward with it. You chose no. And now, like, all this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm getting messages, "Hey, it's broken. We got to fix it." And I'm like, are you ready? Are you mentally ready just because it broke and now you've got a disaster on your hands?
And the energies change. You had to go through the retrograde, which puts that compression. So it does highlight when things aren't working. And then it'll be more apparent when you get out of the retrograde what you need to let go of, what you need to move forward with. And then you can feel like things are starting to move. So if you did feel like, from mid-July till like this past week that there wasn't a lot going on, well, that's the retrograde, or that was like stuck energy or whatever, right? So if you're pushing, or like the example of the person doing a event, right? So if you decided to double down promoting an event during the retrograde and you didn't get what you wanted out of it, that is actually appropriate, because it's not a time to introduce things per se, not new ideas. You can, but you have to have that understanding that it probably won't go that far until you're out of that energy, right?
100%.
So it's this interesting thing where people get weird when you start talking about energies and the astrology, but it affects all of us every day of our lives. What is going on in the collective affects us, no matter if you live in a cave or live in Main Street or like downtown of a city. You are affected by the energies that are affecting every single one of us. So if you can use those to your benefit and then get visible. So first off, it's commitment, right? Because we humans, this is where AI is gonna falter and is gonna be a problem, is that it's making humans really lazy. Really lazy, because then they don't think they have to be part of the process. That is something we've seen many times. Like the one person who was bragging about making AI content that she didn't even watch and didn't know the AI was even saying things incorrectly. Okay, so she's literally just producing AI slop. This person has hundreds of thousands of subs. If you're subbing to that person, you are part of that problem, because you're promoting another human to be lazy AF. They're not even checking the content. So you don't know what the AI is actually doing as content, if it's hallucinating, if it's giving you anything accurate, or if it's just what is trending. The AI makes the script. The AI made the cloned video. AI posted it. AI did
Stories,
the entire
posting.
process. You should not be getting paid any money when you didn't add any value. Yet then you want to be monetized and so you can sit on your butt, as she also bragged that she didn't have to do anything and didn't have to rush or stress about her day. When we're down to that, there is no purpose to any human. When AI is making everything, there is no purpose to you. You have no value then, because if we only value AI content, AI everything, being created by AI, so humans don't even interact with it, we've added no value. Then you might as well have freaking the Terminator, right? They might as well just take us out because we're useless on this planet, because they don't even need us, right?
Yeah, true. Right?
And so in reality, I'm not against AI. I like it. We've used it to make our images. We use it to help get ideas. We use it to assist us in creating content, but we're the ones making the content. Everything we go, like when I go through the scripts, I'm rewriting things, which when I miss something because I'm human, right? I'm looking at it. I'm confirming that, okay, have I heard this before? Does that make sense? Am I validating everything? That is what we're supposed to do. And that is a part that I think is weird in this transition where people really don't want to take on any responsibility. They want to get money. So this is when we get into the whole like weird universal basic income. We just want to sit at home. We want you to pay me to sit at home, and we want to add no value. We will literally live in Wall-E world where we're all just going to be in these floating chairs in a spaceship with our headsets on, overweight, and just, just use us to harvest energy because we don't add value, right? So I guess part of that rant is really, who are you watching? Are they adding human value? Because AI is not a problem. It's how people use it. And are you validating it? And one of the big things when I was prepping our Thursday show was one of the conversations I had with AI where I ended up arguing with it because you can't trust what it finds. This is the problem. It does a research, then you start looking into research and you start questioning why it's telling you things because you can start to find flaws. But that means you, the human, have to take that information, actually look at it, and comprehend if that even makes sense, right? So like one of the stories that I wanted to go into, I didn't end up doing it, but as I was researching it and I was using Claude at this point, it brought me all these things trying to tell me that what my opinion was wrong. But the evidence was not solid. Like the evidence it brought me as the opposite of my personal opinion was not solid evidence. And I had to point out to the AI that I'm like, I know you think this is solid evidence. However, like there's no video of this person. These are all just opinion pieces. The supposed video of this person is only in one place, which seems suspicious. So I started like breaking it down how difficult it was to find me really good evidence that was like strong and not questionable, right? So if we're not doing that, it does lead me to wonder where we're going to end up. Because if people are just taking themselves out of the equation, letting AI do the AI on the
it's terrible. It's terrible because I was doing the calculation yesterday, and I'm like, I'm going to just as a test, do it on a calculator, and then type it into Google. And Google suggest like what AI built in Gemini or whatever it is came back with the wrong calculation. And it's like, wait a minute, that's just a simple argue. I'm like, I can do it on a calculator, get the right calculation, double check my own human work, and then because you're like, oh, I want to know how many miles or in kilometers or whatever, and the freaking came back wrong. And I'm like, how many people go off those quick AI suggestions? It's like coming up, we've got a new show. Well, it's not a new show. Season 2 of Don't Get Hacked, Call Me for Help. It's been planned for a while. But you need scripts and co-hosts and all that stuff. And now we're using Restream, which makes it so much easier to build a show with this software compared to when I was doing stuff in Zoom. So shout out to anybody using Zoom. It's a pain in the ass. Restream's so much better. But anyway, having like store, because the whole premise of Don't Get Hacked is we want to highlight like our company. We don't hear about every tech issue out there, every scam, but I want you, the consumer, to be aware of what's going on and know who to call if you need help, if you need some help, and just be aware of the scams going on out there because you might get caught with something if you're unaware of it. You might waste time with it because you're unaware of it, right? But I'm like, it's 2026 and we want to add Spanish in. So what is affecting Spanish small business, Spanish community? I'm not Spanish. My co-host is. Let's look at some stories. And like actually fact checking what comes back to actually, does it make sense to a human? And is this actually legitimately on like the US government's website or FTC's website or some like fact checking, right? Because remember, before AI, and if you were in like high school, university, and you had to like write essays, you'd still have to present your sources, whether or
Exactly.
not they're valid in 20, whether or not they're valid sources. You as a human have to read it. You're like, does this make sense? Is this actually possible? Right? So it's been fun because we're like, I wouldn't have even think this is a scam, but this seems like a legit scam because it's been reported so many times. But I don't get experience with this type of scam because nobody calls me about it. So I
Well,
need.
okay. And I want to pull it back a little bit with that because you're doing it, this script is in multi languages, right?
True.
So we're also getting the script, going through it, making sure it makes sense, but you only know English because you're not bilingual. No, you know a little bit of French, a little bit of random Spanish words, but we're not bilingual. We will admit that we are not. So you have to give the script to your co-host who has to then make sure that that Spanish is correct. And that is doing the due diligence because if we didn't do that, he might be saying random stuff, and of course he knows what the purpose of it is, right? But it was very much like him going, well, I don't really talk like this, so I'm going to take the script, let me look at it, make sure it makes sense.
It'll be like, your English is weird. I'm like, it's Canadian English versus New Jersey English, opposite sides of North America.
Well, he did tell us that we sounded like the cartoon Bluey, which is made in Australia, which is a Commonwealth, and so is Canada. So we talk like that, which is a little different than American English, but also
I
through
may have
America
also been.
and US.
I was told last night, they're like, you don't sound Canadian, you sound Australian. I'm like, okay, is it the same accent? I don't know because I don't regularly meet people from Australia. So anyway,
No, I don't either.
and
I'm
text her
not
if
gonna
my
lie.
English doesn't sound normal either. So there you go.
Yeah, we got this Commonwealth mixed, English version. So we speak the same language supposedly, right? But it is funny because it really is about, again, that due diligence. You can use the AI as a way to help streamline and save you some time. But there's a lot of things where, like, even as I'm generating images for our shows, and it can take a while. You're sitting there going like, I just twiddle my thumbs as I'm waiting for AI to contemplate what I've asked it or make me something or give me some advice back. So it's one of those things that it's interesting with how AI can be a really great tool, but we humans really need to have that balance with it, right? So it's like utilizing all these resources. So we've got AI, we've got timing that we can use to help us, we've got all these things, but the biggest push is going to be that you've got support. You've got to be motivated to show up consistently, whether your consistency is once a week, once a month, you want to do every day, whatever it is. That has to start if you want to build yourself to be visible. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be hitting those algorithms. So YouTube, Rumble, wherever you're posting to, which we always recommend you're posting to as many different social medias as you can, so you're getting seen. But it's that consistency. So you're constantly showing up, you're constantly feeding back those algorithms because they do pay off. Because what ends up happening, especially with YouTube and being consistent on YouTube, that is the fastest way to show up on Google search results because YouTube is tied to Google, and it's actually the best way around SEOs now because people aren't using SEOs anymore. It is now AI reading, and AI sees the more consistent you are, especially on YouTube, that's going to feed back and make you much more findable on Google.
I was talking about, you know what? It's funny. You were talking about algorithms. I was talking. I was at an event last night in Austin, and I had somebody, small business owner, talking to me about her TikTok experience, and I was like, okay, because she's like, I should have started YouTube. It is like, well, why don't you do it tomorrow? Well, I'm burnt out, and I'm like, fair enough answer. I'm like, how did social media burn you out? She's like, I got popular on TikTok, and I was like, okay. I've not been popular on TikTok yet, but I do know that my experience talking to TikTokers is that TikTok's so gamified that you get to a certain level and it's like keep going for another hour. Like it's like pushing you to make content because will bring they'll do like in-app boosts and be like, hey, keep going and we're just going to show you to more people. YouTube's not like YouTube's different. Like TikTok's so gamified. So she's like, oh, I fell into the gamification trap on TikTok. And when your business isn't ready for it, she couldn't handle the DMs.
Well, and on top
And
of
then
that,
it's like, but
you're literally only putting everything in one area, right? So then on top of that, you're doing all this specialized content for one social media, and you're not getting it everywhere else. So you're not even spreading it out. So then if you do disappear, so the problem also comes into if you disappear off of that social media, you have no presence anymore. And that's also why we definitely don't ever recommend that you only show up on one social media. Now, fair enough. I know some people have mastered Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or all of those. Great. But you need that stuff to still show up everywhere
across
else.
all the platforms.
You may not master all the platforms. However, you want to be everywhere. So if something happens on one of the platforms, right? So let's say, which we know with TikTok, they actually remember. The fact that we don't seem to remember anything. Remember, it was banned in the U.S. for like 2 days. Do you guys remember this? People were losing their minds. People seem to forget that happened. So if you were fully making all your income off of TikTok, that was horrible. And now it hasn't regained in North America, so they're still not really making money. So
I think that may have be what happened to her, and now she's like, I don't know what
that's the thing is now.
How do you restart, Mike? And I'm like, you restart by starting again, but do it across all platforms.
Exactly. So then if something like that happens, or you're removed, or you get shadow banned, or you just get banned because you said something that you didn't even know was wrong or whatever, right? You still show up. You don't get wiped off the map, right? You still show up. You still show up. You're still putting that out there, right? And there's all these levels. It's like getting the email list. It's getting your content onto as many social medias as you can, showing up consistently, building that, because we are, like I said, in a trustless society right now. So, excuse me, how do you build trust when people aren't really trustworthy? Or you have to show who you really are, right? And if you're scared of showing who you are, because this is part of the visibility, there is then self-work you need to do. You need to work on yourself, because why are you scared of being visible to the world? What are you hiding? What mask, what trauma, what illusion do you hide behind that you're scared of people seeing you and who you truly are? And that is a question that I know, like, a lot of people don't really want to. You're really putting it out just before it was going to slow down. It's bad time. Taking ownership of going, okay, let's look at this. There's some bad timing here, but it's not, we can still do something. Well, we can just, you're just going to give up. We're just going to give up. We're just going to throw in the towel. And the reality is we can't build if you just give up. You're never going to learn when you just give up. It doesn't push you to do better. And it's amazing how many people give up is their first solution, right? So like her getting success on TikTok, then everything going to chaos, and then just giving up, right? So instead of going, okay, I've been successful, that success can definitely follow you to other platforms. Because if you've been successful on one platform, you can't convince me that stuff is not going to it may not be the exact same amount of people watching, but it's still going to be successful because there's people that want to watch what you were creating, right?
Yeah, and you don't know who your audience is. You may have an idea based on your previous content or your previous building or your previous talents. So you have that like old audience or existing audience, but you really don't know because everybody's on different platforms and people shift. So the TikTok audience, like YouTube's starving for content. Right? There's not enough content for everybody showing up to watch YouTube every day. There's not enough content for it. Right? And if you've got a good story or history about just get started. The only advice I can give you is get started, because it's literally people telling me I'm going to wait till September. This is what I've heard in the last month. I'm going to wait till September talk to me after my 3-month contract is done. This is just like, it's all like future planning. And it's like, okay, it's great to give a date. Okay, I'll meet you there. You got a date, but like stories, like what do we need to handle before that date happens? You're not going to
Well,
just start doing everything
the reality is building up to one big date and not actually starting to put things into motion. I feel like it makes you less successful. It's very
that's like
much
planning
like
that's like planning an event and not letting anybody promote it.
that was another side problem to that event. But that's, going back, the whole point. You made me lose my point
Oh,
there on
sorry.
that.
I thought I was
The-
being witty there.
well, you kind of were, but you made me like totally lose my train of thought on that. The point is, like, with that is understanding. Okay, oh yes, I remember. I was gonna say it's like a New Year's resolution. Okay, they don't work. Like, there is nobody I've ever heard of that's ever been fully successful on their New Year's resolution, because they're not doing anything to change their lives until this one magic day. Then whatever day, which might be the January 1st, right, that's my new day, and now I'm gonna live this new life. You didn't put anything into place. You didn't start preparing yourself for it. You didn't start buying different, let's say you're going on a diet. Did you start buying yourself different groceries? Did you get yourself all these things? No, but now I'm going to start living this completely different life. That doesn't work. That's not even real. That's not how people do things. So, like, building up. So I'm going to start in September. Okay, well, what you need to do, and maybe that's when you're going to start recording. Okay, well, you need to know you've got a whole month. You've got 4 weeks to decide what you want to create. So then by the time you get to the date, sorry?
You're telling me we're already in August and my big goal for my big launch is September and it's less than 4 weeks away? What are you talking about?
So the reality is we can give ourselves more excuses than anything else. It is harder to keep people motivated than to give yourselves excuse. Right. And so then when you start to see things, so we're trying to take away excuses. So, for example, that event, we're saying your excuse, you literally released the tickets in the worst possible timing. And then you're going to cancel as soon as the best timing coming. So we're trying to get you out of the excuse of giving up now, but we can't force people to not give up. You're utilizing that you're going to be your own worst enemy because you're not even using the strategic timing to your benefit. And that's a choice we have. We have a choice that we can make things or attempt to make our lives easier so we can be more visible, so we can be more successful, use the tools that we are talking about to assist you. Because I'm not going to lie, I have thought things because why can't I get this to work? Why can't I get this? Why does it feel like I'm just going in a circle or just digging myself a hole, to find out that my timing wasn't there? So there's a lot of it where the last couple of years has been refining my process, refining. It's like you'll get traction through this phase. Interestingly enough, as phases and the energies have changed, the traction's starting to come, but it wasn't. So it didn't matter how much I was doing, it was more to refine it. So then when the energies opened, I've already started mastering that process. So I have something built for when the energies want to go forward. If you didn't build anything when the time was heavier and when it wasn't the time to be visible or whatever, when it's time to be visible, do you have anything to go forward with? No. So there is this whole thing of using the energies of life to assist us in being visible. So I think that really goes into why we're here every day. Do you want to talk about our visibility engine, Mike?
Sure. So, visibility engine, we want to help people find the real thing. We want your audience to find you. The only way your audience is going to find you is if by building your visibility engine and getting that content out, right? So, showing up consistently, building real trust, create content that connects, and grow your message and expand your impact. We talk to people every single week. We're like, this is what you need. You need to know the timing, and we need to know your content pieces and what struggles we need to eliminate for you in your workflow to get you visible. So,
and I would say, sorry to cut you off, but I'm going to pick one big thing that's normally everyone's struggle is themselves. You are your hurdle to success.
I don't want to give people I don't want to give people an excuse that we know it's themselves. That's the limiting factor to everything. It's a limiting piece.
It's not an excuse, but we were calling it out. We're telling you we're not accepting that as an excuse because we know you are your own worst enemy.
Right. So the visibility timing guide that we've been talking about today, you can go sign up at breathewithinyoga.com for the gold membership to get that visibility PDF. Sign up for the gold membership to get it, right? And when you're ready to have a conversation about building, and Julie's going to bring it up right now. When you're ready to have a conversation about your content, go to IamYouTubeFamous.com. All your options are there. But visibility, your timing is super important because it's going to affect all of your decisions when it comes to actually filming and distributing your content. And this needs to be an easy process for you.
Well, we want to make it that it doesn't feel like you're constantly hitting a wall, right? So if you're not doing things in alignment with the timing, so like the event, it feels like that person feels like he hits a wall. This person hit the wall, right? Like I put all this effort, I announced it months before, I finally get the website up and running, and now nobody's signed up, and I feel like I hit the wall. We don't want you to feel like that. You know, we are a little bit of victims to timing because we have no control over timing. Like that is something we don't control. You do not control time, unfortunately. You know, you can control your perception of time. Sometimes when you're really engaged, it goes fast. When you're bored, it can feel slow, but we don't not control timing. So knowing how to use it, especially since we're in this visibility, like the August one is called Own Your Visibility, because this is all about visibility, especially now, which is very interesting that we were already talking about this before. I didn't even know we were coming into a time when we started developing, and you started developing the YouTube University, I Am YouTube Famous, and Getting Visible was we've been working on this for a couple of years, and that was before.
We've been live every Saturday for 63 weeks, so that's
exactly
years, because we were doing stuff before we shared it with everybody.
We didn't even realize we were coming into a time where what we were talking about would be completely what the energy is about, which is visibility, which I find is very, you know, when you're in alignment and you get inspired, the inspired ideas will be in alignment with what the collective or you need to offer. So I find that interesting coincidence and very serendipitous that we were already going down this way to come into a time where visibility is the huge part of our lives now and will be affecting us for months going forward. And so owning your visibility, using the energies in the best way, so you're not so you limit the feeling of fighting reality, right? Whereas, like, you know, having an event, rolling out all the stuff before retrograde is going to feel like you're fighting reality. Why can't I get traction? Well, because it's not the best time to get traction in this. Doing it a little bit and swift changing that time can make it feel, you know, it doesn't mean it's going to be for sure successful, but it's going to not feel like you're hitting the wall, right? Like we want to go 1,000 miles per hour, not into a wall on the road, right?
And what I want to say is, if you're already on the gold membership, if you're already on the gold membership mailing list, you already have this in your inbox. It's already been sent out, and that was sent out to over 1,000 people already. So, you know, we're just checking. We're just mentally reminding you that if you're on our email list, go check your email because this was already sent out.
And there will be another one. We're going to be coming out every week on Tuesday with updates on what's going on. And there will be another link to it. So if you have not, go and subscribe at breathewithinyoga.com is the link to it. You can also check out all of the visibility engine at I Am YouTube Famous. We will be starting a third round in September. So if you are interested in joining us, like, we are going to hold you accountable, help you get a plan in place to be accountable. Now, of course, we can't force you. We're not going to show up at your house and literally, you know, put the camera on you and force you to record or whatever it is.
I'm just going to text you every day to see how it's going. And, you know, that's plenty. You know, you can ghost me, whatever. But
we're going to hold you accountable.
I got your phone number.
Exactly.
Content.
And we're going to give you the tools and things to help you get to be visible and start putting that in place. And of course, that is based on your own motivation. We can't do everything for you, but we can definitely help give you guidance so we get over the walls. So we're not going to hit these walls. So when we're going 1,000 miles per hour, the road is open. We're not going to run into anything, and we're going to be more successful than when we don't have the right timing and it feels like you hit one block after another after another. Like, I know what that's like. That's when you're not quite in that right timing, and then you're fighting the collective timing, because collectively this energy's, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's going to be harder to get traction than in certain times, right? So using timing with the visibility is really what we're talking about. So these are not separate, as we've been mentioning. These work together, and we want to help people be seen, because this became super important for us during 2020 when we saw all of the small and medium-sized businesses that you were helping start to disappear because of what was happening, the COVID mandates and things. If you didn't have an online presence, you're probably not around right now.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't have an online video community, some people were ready for online. They were already doing Zooms. Some people already had that stuff in place, and others didn't. And the ones who didn't, I'm like, yeah, they're just their businesses really disappeared,
Exactly.
right?
And
Or they're rebooting right now, and they're like, how do I reboot? I'm like, you need to be found, so you need to start building audiences from scratch. And it's okay. Everybody starts from scratch at some point or multiple times during their career. Right?
Exactly. Like that's part of life. Like, you might have been like, I feel like there's a lot of people too. Like, we've seen also recently some people putting out their opinions where they were AI experts, right? And now they're having this
Jeez,
feeling like,
Julie, I talked to so many of those last night. Don't remind me.
well, a lot of them are coming to a point where they're realizing they don't have anything to offer because AI is changing so much. You can't keep up on it. It's harder to, like, they feel like they don't really have value. So it's interesting because we are changing. We're changing that. What we used to see as valuable is adapting to that. And what do you offer that is not a shiny up turd, right? Like, what do you offer humans? What can you offer that is real, that is going to be valid going forward, right? And a lot of things that were offered before are dying, right? Like, there's so many industries that people thought would never die, and they're dying. They're it's harder to get the traction. We're seeing people that were $1 million of doing online products or content or services, and they're struggling because we are in this massive time of change. And so using the timing with what is happening, it's just giving you,
Oh man, yeah, okay, yep. Just like, what's happened to certain celebrities this week where their life just seems to be spinning out of control? Mercury retrograde's over.
well, okay, let's talk about Perez Hilton, right? So this, if you followed, you might not have, right? If you followed him a little bit, he kind of lost his mind. He started on TikTok, was going live, doing things that would be making him unalived, okay? And then we were looking at it because he, like, literally had this breakdown, and we're finding out, like, his website, which was super popular back in like the late 90s, early 2000, he was everywhere. Everyone knew who he was of our generation, right, Mike? Like, he was all over about, especially celebrities, right? Well, clearly the consciousness is changing. People don't care the same way. And how information is flowing now is such a different reality than the early 2000s and even into the 2010s. They're all changing, and he's lost all this money and he hasn't adapted. And I'm sure that's adding to this stress of where he was making millions of dollars in revenue from ads at one point to nothing because the interest has changed. So just because somebody's made success,
That's a grown adult moving from LA to Vegas to Florida to live with his mother, Julie. That's the downfall of that business. Just complete.
well, exactly. And I want to bring up one side comment. Thank you, Juno. I am glad you appreciate what we're
Juno's
doing.
back. Woo, woo.
Thank you so much, because we do. We want to help humans, because whether you've been watching us for a while or just come across us, we want to help humans get their information out using AI. Yeah, we can use it to help us, but we want humans to step into their value to help other humans. And we want you to come visible. And the things that are going into this trend is education, teaching people, and this is coming. Once we get over this AI bubble, it is going to be massive value if you are authentic, because you can't pay and you cannot buy authenticity. And that's going to give you the heads up over everything else when you're authentic and showing up and not AI, because people are going to be looking for it. You can feel that in the energy, and we are going to get to that top. And then it's going to be when everybody's making AI clones.
Just throw everybody's AI posters. You see how much hate there
Exactly.
already. You see how much hate there is online with AI posters or AI announcements. That's why we disclose all of our images are AI, but I think they look pretty. Anyway.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, I'm not against AI. AI can be a great tool, but it's the point of, are we still adding value? We're not clones. We're still adding value. So how you add value is going to become a prime feature in the future. So being visible, like we talked about, go and join our gold membership. The best way to join that is, we're still working. We do need to update the one website because we are not perfect. And sometimes, it takes us a little bit to get things updated. But go to Breathe Within Yoga, join the gold membership. We're going to get that added to the I Am YouTube Famous as well. But that's the best way to get on the email list now and get your copy so you can make a plan and go forward, so you're not feeling like you're hitting walls. Everybody's got some great idea, some great value to share. Let's open that path and make it as simple. It doesn't mean it's going to be simple, but let's try to make it easier and with the least amount of debris blocking our flow as possible.
100%. So let's bring up are you ready for the show schedule?
Let's do it.
All right. So, of course, today's Saturday. Join us every Saturday for Visibility University. Learn how to grow your brand, grow your business, grow your impact. Come in and drop your questions in the chat, because this Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern show, that's what it's here for. It's here for the community. Ask your questions about everybody. It's always, how do I get started? How much do I need? How do I post? Do I need scripts? Do I need a teleprompter? Do I need a fancy camera? We'll answer all your questions to get you started. Sundays, join us for the weekly energy forecast. A lot of people ask us, why is it astrology? Why is this? Why is this? I'm like, this is why you should watch the weekly energy forecast. Because I can give you an answer, but unless you're listening to us live or going back to listen to replays, words coming out of my mouth may not make sense until you watch the show.
And this week, so tomorrow, make sure you do join us, because we're going to be talking about the first eclipse that we're going to be hitting. So we're getting into the point that these next couple days are really good for visibility and kind of pushing. And then when we get to just before the eclipse till just after the eclipse, it's kind of a fine tune again, not to push a lot. So again, another call out to make sure you've got our Own Your Visibility guide, and to join us on tomorrow night at 7:11 Eastern, so you can find out what the week is going to look like.
Exactly. Mondays, catch us for our version of Am I the Asshole? 2 real, 2 truths, 1 lie, where we find some amazing stories and you get to guess which ones are truth, which one's a lie.
And I have to add again, because I'm so excited. So if you're already following us, do subscribe if you haven't, wherever you're watching. I've already put it in. I've got the show ready, and we're going to go down the UFO hole. It's going to be a good one.
Not the flock hole?
No. We're moving on from the flock hole for this week.
That almost sounded dirty. Flock hole? No. And there's, last but not least, Thursdays. Honestly, though, 7 p.m. Eastern. Julie, you describe it.
Well, this is where we look where I'm looking at the week, what the astrology, really the theme of it is, and we look at the news and things that are happening in our reality that are quite apparent to the energies. So that's the best way to kind of, so it's an astrology news show type of idea, using numerology as well, but it's the idea of like what is going on in our reality that matches the energy of what we're seeing. And this last week was a big show. We talked about COVID and accountability, which has been everywhere, especially with Fauci being, pleading the fifth over 100 times, right? And linking that all the way back to the COVID and China, because if you followed me, I talk about those a lot. And
Lily's
those we
obsessed with
spend.
China Observer.
Sorry.
I said you're obsessed with China Observer.
I am obsessed because I see exactly what is happening in China is being mirrored in Canada. And being that we are from Canada, it's a very interesting, like we're just
Comparison.
within a degree of the separation of what is happening. So either way, it is a really good show because we really talk about, honestly, all these pieces we're seeing. We're not telling you what to think, but we're pointing out specifically all the things we're seeing. How do these work together? What does this mean? And have us actually question and critically think about the information coming in. And one of the big concepts that really came up this week was that we don't really know because everything is such a big psyop. And one of the biggest things that came out with China is that we've got like such conflicting things. So we've got, like, if you've gone down the data center hole, we've got a group in the government here in the States saying, well, if you're anti data centers, you're pro-China winning the data center war, right? The data war, the AI war, right? And I'm like, well, how does that make you anti-AI when you're just asking questions about how these are being built, how it's going to take care of itself, how it's not going to ruin the local economy, people, their costs, right? Asking those questions are valid, but we've got this whole narrative that if you're against data centers, well, you're pro-China. And then what I also saw was that there's now also this perspective that if you're anti-data center, you have fallen for Chinese propaganda. Now, very much could be true because we've also looked at how China has infiltrated pretty much everywhere in all social media and is watching everybody, especially in the US. If they're in Congress or the Senate, they're watching everybody. They've listed, if you're pro-China, not China, they know everything about you. And so they were saying, so there's another level that it's a psyop, this, that this ground movement that humans don't want these AI data centers because China wants America to stop building data centers so they can catch up. And then I'm like, what? So if you're pro data centers, then you're anti-China, but if you're not if you're not pro data centers, you're pro China, and China is also messing with us on social media. And it's all possibly true. And so what do you believe? What you have to believe is that you can watch the patterns and you have to just decide how you're going to critically move through this reality. So that kind of gives you an idea. It's a deep show. I highly recommend checking it out.
All right. So again, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays. Not forgetting that we just launched the book club as well, which will be once a month, where we highlight authors.
So if you're an author and you've written a book, a human book, no AI books. If you're a human author, write a book, reach out to us. We want to highlight you in our next episode. So we are looking for authors to share their books so other humans that love reading human content can find humans writing books. So that's what we're really bringing together with that. And that's one of our new shows. And also staying up to date. So making sure you join our Gold, you'll get informed when we have those episodes and when our new episodes of Don't Get Hacked Season 2 start to air, which will be in the next number of weeks as well. So make sure you do join that so you can stay up to date with those.
Exactly. So I guess time to end the show.
Yes, as I go on, because I can just rant and talk about all this stuff.
Okay. Thank you. We have engaged viewers today, but no comments. So I was hoping for more comments, but thank you for everybody tuned in to watch, share this with your friends for next week. Thank you if you left comments. We know we got regulars out there watching, and thank you for including us in part of your Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons or evenings, depending where you are in the world. Have a great day.
Exactly. Have a great day, and we will see everyone tomorrow night at 7:11 Eastern, so you can find out what the energy is like and have some tools on how to make it through the week. We give you tools as well that'll assist using the
Yes,
weekend.
go subscribe to At Breathe Within Yoga, because that's where the Sunday, Monday, Thursday shows are definitely broadcasted to.
Exactly. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.